This is the Infinite Podcast with me, Ulf Tøndeflittig.
And me, Øystein Rabbe.
We go boldly into the unknown to find the greater truths about ourselves and the human existence. And we share it
with you listeners.
Oh, yes. Now, in this episode, which is the audio from the Wake Up Show, our weekly live show, which you can check out on patreon.com/The Wake Up Show. Maybe show your support if you feel like it. Please do.
That would be nice.
That would be great. Our guest is William, whom we met because of the Wake Up Show.
Yeah, he just sent us a video introducing himself, and we just invited him.
Yeah, what better way to get to know someone than on our show?
Yes.
And what a guy. What a treat. I'm looking forward to having him on Again?
Yes.
Yeah. Enjoy.
Welcome to the Wake Up Show. It's early morning here in Norway. In California, it's late night. And in Asia, it's afternoon. And we're back as usual every week. This episode is called Unfuckupable. I think I pronounced that right. Ulf says yes, which is a good thing. And what I want you to really consider tonight is today, I would say. For some reason, I always say tonight when we are actually doing this 7 o'clock in the morning here in Norway. But it is unfuckupable, so it's going to be okay. Anyway, look for insights, not details, facts, not all the usual stuff you look for in a conversation or in a science show or whatever you watch. But this is just underneath the surface. There might be some magic to explore and to realize. So this could be a life-changing conversation then. That's what it means.
Good morning, good evening, good night, good everything. This is the Wake Up Show, and I guess by the looks of it, yeah, you're awake. Both literally and hopefully metaphorically as well. First off, we got Patreon. Be a patriot. Go to our Patreon and support this wonderful show, making it the greatest show in the universe. In all time, in all the multiverses, we're going to be like the top one. Thanks to you. And thank you to all you patrons out there. Your support really makes a difference. And we're going to push forward and make this the most unfuckupable show in ever.
I like that.
You like that?
Yes, I like that.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah. Let's do it.
Let's do it. Okay, so what's this thing about unfuckupable, Rabbe? What's going on over here?
I learned this term from a good friend of mine, which is sitting across the table here, and it is almost like I would say that life might be, or actually life is unfuckupable. But the only way to realize, to actually figure it out, is to try, to experiment with life. And you always come back to the same conclusion, which is
unfuckupable. It's a deep knowing deep inside of you which is just the sheer fact that this is a can't fail operation, and especially when it feels like you're failing, that's what you're actually feeling. Is that deep inside of you there's this knowing that you just can't mess this up. Now, on Thursday, I believe, I was feeling like things were a bit stressful. Like things were feeling like this is.
Yeah, you were kind of tense on Thursday, I would say.
I was kind of tense on Thursday,
yeah.
and it was like what's just give me something, universe. I just need
something not tense.
Need something to take the edge off. And then boom, in our mailbox there was a video clip.
Yes, let's see the video clip.
Let's see the video clip.
Hey guys, William here. I just listened to episode 1 of the Wake Up podcast, and I just wanted to say thank you guys, and I really appreciate how open and honest you guys were. It was really lovely to listen to, and you've got some more that I'm going to check out, and just wanted to tell you guys that I'm an English guy living in Oslo in Norway. Jeg kan snakke litt norsk, men det er litt vanskelig for meg. But yeah, I just wanted to send you guys a big thanks and say that I'm living in Oslo and I've had my own spiritual journey. It's been crazy, and I'd love to get in touch with you guys. It's been quite a lonely road, being able to talk on these topics with people. I've just actually wrote a book on my journey. So if we could get in touch and, meet up or do whatever, be amazing. So I just wanted to say thank you for what you guys are doing, and maybe hopefully we can get in touch. Bye guys.
Wow. Now that was quite a message to get there on a stressful Thursday, and I think at the end of the clip I had like tears of joy in my eye. I was like, wow.
Yes. That was beautiful.
And then we were like, well, when can we meet this wonderful person? How about right now? Hello, William.
Hi, guys.
Hello. Good to have you here.
Lovely to be here.
Yeah.
He's got the bit of
got the thing. We're going to talk about the Brit Moor thing. But first of all, thank you so incredibly much for reaching out.
No problem. Like I said, I've been hiding away for some years. And as soon as I saw your guys' little podcast and the conversation you guys were having, I was like, I need to get involved in this. This is my sort of frequency.
Yeah, I like that.
And sure enough, I didn't expect to be called up on a couple of days later. Hey, guys, jump in.
It's so cool that you just said yes to join us here in studio, live, on Facebook, right now. Yes.
Well, it's. I think it's. That's the thing, right? Which I felt, especially on this special day when you came into our life, was. I was sort of like just asking the universe for just
something.
Give me something, and I was present and I was awake and it was like there it is, I feel we all just went along with that invitation, and now we're here.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, there is something about saying yes to the invitations of life.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that also since the topic of this show is unfuckupable, I think that's a clue. I think to even to at all be able to figure out that life is unfuckupable, you have to say yes to the invitations. Otherwise, it won't look like it is unfuckupable.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
made so many.
So what's your take on Unfuckupable, William?
Well, I had a little think about it after Ulf told me. That's how I say your name, right?
That's perfect.
He said the topic was unfuckupable, and I had to think about a diamond was what came to my mind when I actually thought about it, seeing as they're just so unfuckupable, right? Mm-hmm. They're meant to be like the hardest, most perfect crystal that exists. Mm. And then how do things become diamonds? Well, obviously that they were trees or carbon matter once upon a time, and they go through torture, they go through pain and horrible processes.
Yeah.
refinement by nature, and poof, and you get to that solid form somewhere along the journey. So that would be my point. And I've made many. I like to look at my life as been a open-hearted, tumbling ball of chaos and joy and sadness, all sorts really. And I'm not saying I'm a diamond by any means, but I'm saying
Kind
I'm
of look like a diamond, a little bit.
That's the aloe vera on my face right now. Yeah, I know. Is it shiny? Yeah. No, yeah, but that was my my thoughts on the non-existent word that I don't think actually is a word, right? Unfuckupable.
Now it is.
It is now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Urban
It's
Dictionary.
clearly a word now, and it should be in the dictionary, like by far, right? I really like the diamond analogy. That was beautiful. What's the like diamond in the rough?
Yeah,
That's a thing, right?
you can find that somewhere maybe.
But just like the whole butterfly thing as well. So you're like this caterpillar, and you're moving slowly around, and you just don't know what's up, and you're just ingesting, and then it's time to just let all that go, and the caterpillar actually just disintegrates inside the
Metamorphosis.
Yeah, it's a metamorphosis, and it's a completely different thing, like with charcoal and the diamond.
Yeah, that's it.
I guess, yeah.
It's natural processes.
The natural process.
The natural process of life. Yes. But you, Ulf, you brought this kind of term to our podcast.
I brought the
show.
word to the table.
What's your take on it?
What's my take on Unfuckupable? Well, here's the thing. You always wanted to be here, right? This is all you ever wanted. This is your gift to yourself. What a precious, beautiful, gorgeous gift. But in order to make it a proper and delicious and deliriously insane gift, you have to forget that you gave the gift to yourself, and you also have to make it seem sort of like it's not available to you. But to make sure that you don't lose your way completely, deep underneath all these layers of I'm useless, I'm worthless, I'm a piece of shit, I'm a fraud, there's a small nugget. And that nugget is you're unfuckupable, or you're good enough, or you're perfect, or it's just remembering that to me is like coming back home. Now, I believe I really liked the Narnia take on the whole thing, where these kids are in the real world, and the world's at war even, because it's like probably the Second World War. William is nodding, and hopefully, and things in real life are not that good. So they go to this faraway fantasy place called Narnia, where magical things happen, and they're kings and queens, and obviously by the fact that they come from war, they sort of bring that aspect into the reality of Aslan. But at the end of the whole series, the author just wraps the two universes into one, because they're always in Narnia. It's just a matter of opening your eyes and seeing the magical place that is here. And we tend to forget that, like all the freaking time. I forgot it like 5 times yesterday at least, and I remembered twice.
Do you have a practical analogy for how you remind yourself when you've forgotten?
Well, it's so easy, right? So things are falling apart. Then you just need to center in and repeat, this is unfuckupable.
I'm in Narnia.
Well, this is what I always wanted, is my take on it.
Yeah.
When I feel resistance inside myself, when I'm sort of like, oh, this feels, how on earth did I end up here? And I'm just checking in, and I see, this is what I always wanted. and I know this to be true, and I know this to be good, and it's a learning experience, and I just, the moment I surrender and accept that, then I'm a fucking superhero.
Yeah, that's nice. Why not be your own superhero when you can? Why make life something so boring as being a victim in a way? Like,
ironically, though, superhero movies tends to be all about the superheroes being in all types of troubles.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Yes.
Resistance is a funny thing, isn't it? It's what do we need to resist all the time, even in situations that are very uncomfortable and unnatural? If you, like you said, if you can find that space inside you, that little nugget that you were talking about, that you know is you, and that there's no one can touch that's protected somewhere deep within.
Yeah.
There's no resistance. That's how I find my peace in those in similar situations, like you've said.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's I have a space within me that no one can touch, and that I know there is me in there. You know, if that makes sense.
Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Dealt with a lot of adversity in my life, though, to get to that place. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Took a long time to find that space within, and to protect it, and to know when someone's trying to, if someone tries to attack you, a certain belief or something that you hold. I had to learn not to react, and to stay in that space where, I can agree with you, disagree with you, respect you, all at the same time, and not be in a reactive mode. I think that's something in there similar to what you.
Reactive mode. I like that way of putting it. Like how much we do that in life when we're not conscious. I think even us sitting here, we talk about being awake and all these things. Like, for every single layer, in a way, there is this. You react until you realize that you're reacting to something.
Yeah.
And then you can kind of take a conscious ownership over what's inside of you.
Yeah, and then you can look at the intentions. You can control your attention, and that gives you a better clarity of your intention, if that makes sense. Because if you're in reactive mode, then your attention's taken away. You're not as focused on something, and then your intention at the same time, because it's like a push and pull thing. Duality. You guys have talked about it a lot on the show. These sorts of things.
There's a video coming up in a little bit.
Oh shit!
Not yet. But it's like this video talks about boxes, how we tend to live inside of or live through different kind of ideas. Like you have to be this way or that way to fit in or to. And I think that's interesting. How we also the conscious process or the unconscious process is how we until we realize that we're not in need of fitting in. We kind of try to, or at least this is my experience though, until I realized I'm part of the picture, I always try to, and this goes kind of layer by layer, my unconscious reaction is to kind of, to figure out how I calculate myself out of the picture, not to be in the way of life, in a sense. Also when in my spiritual awakening, going through this process of thinking that the point is to be so spiritual that I don't need to be here. So every reaction to life was, okay, how am I in the way of this? And then trying to just disappear until I realized, oh, maybe the point is that I'm going to be here as well. I
was when you were talking about the getting sort of being a part of the picture is, when you take a family photo, someone has to take the picture. So who's not going to be a part of the story? Who needs to step outside and look into the situation? And yesterday, my youngest daughter, she had her third birthday, and I was taking some pictures, and then one point I was like, this. It's comfortable to sort of look at the situation, but at one point I just had to put the camera down and go be with my daughter and be in the situation, because, like, obviously looking from the outside, like looking at a movie it gives you some sense of like being there, but to actually be there, I would have to put the actual camera down and go over to Nora and play with the toys or
I heard you mention that actually in one of the episodes before. You mentioned that you had to not mess around with the buttons so much, and that made it much easier for you to actually be present in the conversation.
Yeah,
and I could easily, I can understand. I can feel that now with you guys. You know, having to mess around with other things that you can't get as deep into certain ideas and things like that. No, being present is a powerful thing, isn't it? It really is.
Yeah, it's super powerful.
Yeah.
There's a message on the Facebook chat which is saying, "Hi Papa, hilsen Adrian."
Well, that's good.
Yes.
Hey Adrian. Hello.
I think it's time to show the video.
Now, just to be clear, what video is it that I'm showing this to?
It's number 2.
The freedom struggle?
No.
No.
It's called VB02.
Oh shit! Sorry. Sorry to all.
You can choose
pardon about.
If you want to use the subtitles or not.
I'm going to use the subtitle
Okay.
ones. Okay.
It's fine.
We are all on a quest to live our best life. And it seems like we spend every moment of it trying to fit into all these boxes. Boxes, common ideals of how life should be. Doing what seems to be the right things, following unwritten rules. And then hope that when we finally get there, it will make us feel alive, living the good life. We are so convinced there's a common formula we have to follow in order to live our life. As if someone outside of yourself can possibly know what's best for you. But if you are not the one creating the boxes, then whose life are you really living?
Do you know how rare it is in this world to have a personal experience or relationship with something? One-to-one, just yourself alone without being contaminated? Every institution in the world is working on the mind of the child to condition it to think like other people and to have everything secondhand and everything borrowed.
We have repeated over and over again the idea of someone else's life so that we don't recognize the truth within ourselves.
And we all have a great need for acceptance. But you must trust that your beliefs are unique, your own, even though others may think them odd or unpopular, even though the herd may go, "That's bad." Robert Frost said, "Two roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference."
We didn't grow up with the sense that where we were was where we were going to be. You know, we grew up with the sense that where we were almost didn't matter because we were becoming something greater.
Success is somehow measured by how well you can fit into someone's box. And the reward? You get to do the same thing again and again and again, believing that you're getting somewhere.
They can't give me what they can't give me. It looks like security comes from the right money or the right partner. Or it looks like self-esteem comes from the right weight or the right clothes. It looks like success comes from certain achievements. That's all bullshit.
And I think what happens is we make this situation more complex than it has to be.
Because we're looking for complexity. There's got to be something complex to understand.
It can't be that easy.
No.
So many of us choose our path out of fear disguised as practicality. What we really want seems impossibly out of reach and ridiculous to expect, so we never dare to ask the universe for it. I'm saying, I'm the proof that you can ask the universe for it.
Let's see that animation replay.
You can ask the universe for it.
If you don't know and have a core, like deep grounded understanding that you are perfect, then you would naturally, it would make sense to you to try and be perfect. And then you walk around in life trying instead of being.
The people that inspire us are those people that are true to themselves, who believe in something and go for it, who walk their own path. The reason you get inspired is because you recognize something within yourself that you might not be listening to right now. So the more you're able to align yourself and the choices you make in your life with who you truly are on the inside, the more you will get into this flow of life, because you are a part of that.
You have to believe that something different can happen.
Everything around you that you call life was made up by people that were no smarter than you.
Whether it be being an artist, where that difference will give you an edge, or whether it be a business person will give you the edge, or whether that's just enjoying life where other people don't notice it because they live like everybody else. To me, difference is the coolest thing in the world.
It doesn't mean you have to be different for the sake of being different. It means being different when that difference is you.
I can tell you from experience, the effect you have on others is the most valuable currency there is.
Allow yourself to let life happen for you. Allow yourself to be you. What it is really about is you taking yourself seriously, not trying to fit into someone else's life, but allowing yourself to create your own life, following your inner guidance, accepting who you are.
Whoa!
Yeah, beautiful video. Did you guys put that together?
I made it a while ago.
Yeah, okay. That was you over the talking
that
over
was
the top.
the voiceover, yeah.
You made a motivational video.
Yes,
I'm very motivated.
Yeah, me too. I'm ready.
That's good. That's good. then it worked. Yeah. What do you guys think? Not about the video, but the message of the video.
Yeah, it was beautiful. There was lots of messages in there, but the overall message, I wouldn't disagree with it. There's so many people that I look up to in that video. Some heroes of mine. Inspirational people who have lived there, who have been true to themselves, who have expressed themselves unapologetically, and and it's like you said, being in that box that we're raised in, that kind of corporate box that we just struggle to,
So true. So this is the reason I wanted to show this video in this particular show is because as I don't know anything about you, William, but I got from the video you sent us that you have been through some kind of process, some kind of awakening.
Yeah.
And this video was kind of my awakening. Like I spent probably a couple of years making that video just because it was a continuous process. I was going through a lot of things at the same time. So I'm just curious, what is your journey and what is your awakening and what have you been through?
So I grew up kind of in a working class background, just in Cambridge in England. And my parents got divorced when I was 10 years old. And that was kind of the first time that I got sad. You know, before that, even though I wasn't wealthy or anything, I loved life. It was beautiful, you know, climbing in dens and out in the fields and messing around with all my friends and everything. It was beautiful. And then after my parents got divorced, there was like a shift in my life. Like a sadness took over and I became quite rebellious and quite naughty. And then it took me some years before I got to kind of get over that pain, but I'd never addressed it. It just kind of fell away to the side, and new adventures like girls and new like life, you know, as growing up through adolescence into teenage years, it just took over my attention. But I always was like a natural kind of philosopher. I was always a deep thinker, and my dad was a nature man. And I was always asking him questions, but no one was religious, and I never got any answers, and it just wasn't enough for me. Like I don't know, I couldn't tell you why. It was just natural for me. None of my friends were really into these sort of big questions. And then, so when I got to sixth form, I was able to study philosophy and environmental science at A level. So what's Vigelundskole? Is that what it's called in Norwegian? Like when you're 16, 17, 18, before university.
Okay. Yeah.
And that really opened my eyes up to ask big questions. The big questions about society, big questions about ourselves, like who am I? Why are we here? You know, these basic, simple, but huge questions. And that was kind of my approach to morality. And I never had religion or spirituality up until that point, you know. And then I went to university to study environmental science. And I had a philosophical kind of leaning, a social science side of leaning. And I thought humans were ill. Like, I thought there was something wrong with us, you know, like what we were doing to the planet, how we treated each other. And there was just a sadness within me that was unaddressed. And I became a little bit of a drug addict, to be honest with you.
It can happen.
Yeah.
You know, it's not unusual.
Not massively bad. I was just like a lonely stoner. I called myself the philosopher stoner. It's like
philosopher stone.
Yeah. So so I had some inner darkness that I just needed addressing, and it was simply a question of identity. I didn't know who I was, didn't know who we were as people. Firstly as a community, and then as a nation, and then all of these big questions about who we were. And then I met a Norwegian girl at university, and decided to move over to Oslo. And this time she went to do a master's degree in environmental science, and I got a job in a warehouse picking here in Oslo. And I started hanging around with all these Swedish immigrants, and they introduced me into lots of psychedelics and all of these new sorts of spirituality. I had this hippie friend who was massive into Hinduism and Buddhism and all these sorts of things, and it was kind of what it was almost like a natural process. It was like something was pulling me along this journey unbeknownst to me, you know, like I went to them, studied the environment, studied about climate change, learned about the whole, what's going on in sustainability and all those sorts of things. And so my heart was hurting, but I never had the spiritual side of things. Never resonated with religion just because it just didn't have it already in my life, and never really resonated with me. Yeah. And then, I met these guys, and they introduced me to the spiritual side of things. And my girlfriend at the time, she wasn't so open to these sorts of ideas and these sorts of experiences. So we broke up, and then I kind of dived in deep. So I would go off into the forests here and explore consciousness by myself. And I got into yoga and I started meditating. And then, I had a real big spiritual awakening in 2012, 2013, where I just kind of, it kind of came to me. Like you say, I remembered stuff. Like it wasn't new. It was something that I felt that was embedded within me.
Yeah, right. The remembering part, that always gets me. It's like, you always knew.
Yeah.
Like, what? But that can't be. I'm just a poor little insignificant son of a bastard. Just how could I ever deserve anything? And then like,
but it is like, I think sometimes on the spiritual journey you get kind of insights like, wow, oh, this is how it works. But the really deep insights is kind of when you just, oh, I know this. This is how it works. Like you always knew, it just, you weren't ready to realize it until now. And it's a really rewarding process when you...
I've been searching though. I've been searching, I believed in ghosts and stuff when I was little, and like all this. I've always had an open mind. I've just always had a very rational mind at the same time. And if I don't have sufficient evidence to, construct a honest framework of thought inside my head, then I can't hold my hand on my heart and say I believe that to be true. So I collected evidence on this journey until it all connected together, and I have a good inner overstanding, as Tupac would say, of a spiritual side to reality now. And it's been.
But I think it's important to acknowledge that this kind of researcher within us, like sometimes on the surface we can like watching a thriller or like detective show or something like that, because it's interesting to just go on this journey of discovery, like research what's been happening here, like who was the criminal, something like, because I think that's a natural part of us.
It's the adventure, isn't it?
The adventure, yes. So but also when you start diving into the spiritual journey, it's kind of, it is the same process. It's only like it goes inwards or kind of in your mind, into things.
You have to trust yourself.
Yeah, you have to trust yourself.
You have to trust yourself.
And the only way to start doing it is to be the researcher or the adventurer.
Yeah. Not to lean on anyone else. Just to find the intuition.
Exactly.
That's something.
And somewhere along that journey you realize what Ulf is always saying, that everyone is sharing you, like everyone is on your side. There is no like enemies out there.
Sean Stevenson says that. Do you know Sean Stevenson?
No.
He's a little guy. I'm not sure if he's alive anymore, but he was like disabled, or I don't really know how to say it. But he became a motivational speaker, and he always said that his secret to his life was that he believes everyone wants him to win. Even those who don't even know it. Everyone is cheering for him to win. Even the ones who don't even know it. And man, when I heard him say those words, I was like, whoa, if I could actually believe that, the power that could come from it.
It's a different life.
I tried. It lasted for like seconds.
But it is interesting though. And I'm also, I was speaking with a friend of ours, Ken, about the fear of speaking in front of an audience. And we both were like, but deep inside you know that they're rooting for you. Like they're on your side. They want you to succeed. And I think it all points back to you again, is when you're looking at someone, when they're performing, you also at one level will want them to succeed. But if you're stuck in your egoic mind, you might also secretly want them to fail, because that will make you look better. But the moment you realize that you're them, that you're part of this,
if you're in love, if you're not in hate, there's haters everywhere, but like you can't change that. Like the only way to deal with hate is to love them and to understand them. Like when you hate,
war doesn't solve anything. What?
No. I can try again to check.
We've been for thousands of years now using war as a means to solve our problems, and you're saying it doesn't work?
It's the illusion of the finite reality, though, isn't it? Is this your glass of water or mine?
Is it half full or is it half empty? Another thing that we've been talking about this movie Contact with Jodie Foster recently.
I haven't seen it. So.
Well, I'm not going to spoil it, but there's she finds out something. Like, we're not alone in the universe, I think is what she finds out. That's like the setup of the film. But she has to convince everyone that what she has experienced is true.
Good luck.
and I really like, because that's the that's to me, that's at the core of it all. That's the gift, right?
Yeah.
Is that you will get this deep knowing inside of you, and when you share it with others, they'll be like, "Well, how can you prove that?" And but I just know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then they're like, "Well, could you scientifically like measure it or put it into a cup, or could we see it?" Or and it's like, well, you just have to experience it.
I think we're all seeds. And even the sun's shining up above, and even when one sprouts through the soil, others are still under the soil, and the other seed can't go, "Hey guys, the sun's up here." And, like, if you can see what I'm saying, like
that's the spot.
Yeah, that's just the experience from trying to force people to understand things that I've learned, and I realized that I can't force other people to understand things. Like everyone has their time, their journey to sprout.
Yeah.
That's
a good way of putting it.
Yeah.
Respect other people's journey.
Yeah. Exactly. So it's time to for the next video, which is number 3B.
I'm gonna just elegantly talk a little while I cut to the video.
Yes.
I think there is absolutely great value in the fight and the struggle aspect of life. Also, when you think you are fighting and struggling towards an opponent with the opposite views that you may have. And there is something earned and gained in that process. But you have, at a certain point, to surrender to your enemy, recognizing that the opposite part has part of the answer to the riddle of life. As long as you only think that your own approach is right, you're doomed to. I mean, you can't solve the riddle of life because you miss a part. That doesn't mean that you have to agree with everyone else in their views, but you have to appreciate that there is a core of truth in every viewpoint. There is a core of truth in every viewpoint without any exception. This means that any human beings who really hold a view to something has a right to have that view, and there is some part of truth hidden in it. If you can at least start recognizing that, you'll get out of this quagmire of staying at the same place all the time. You will evolve in struggles, but at a certain point you need to meet your opponent. You need to meet what you fought against, because there is unfinished business in it. So no matter how much you think you can come out and transcend it, it will wait on the next corner and say, we are not finished. We have things to look at. And the question is then, are you ready for that? Are you interested in discovering the value of what you were fighting against? Not agreeing with everything in it, but seeing that there is actually a value in the other viewpoint, in the other approach to life. And that's easy. It's easy to say, I know, but when you start realizing even small lessons in your own life about this, it really is a major revelation, because you have to approach another human being with a new attitude, because you're actually looking into a mirror. The brother and sister out there is yourself in another version. And when you start realizing that you are looking into your own eyes, you are experiencing beauty. And at the same time, the miracle is that you are looking at a completely different aspect of life. So you have this wonder and magic of difference and the sameness at the same time. And I think the deep beauty of that we are not just individual people, but we are also collective beings, is that we are in a individual situation in the universe, but we can only define ourselves as individuals when we recognize that we are part of a collective. No collective exists without individuals. No individual exists without a collective. So we need the belonging to the greater whole in order to become ourselves. That's seemingly a paradox, but it's a beautiful reality.
Wow.
Wow.
That was perfect. That hit the spot.
Interesting.
Yeah. So we're talking about the unfuckable, the unfuckupable.
Yeah.
How does it relate to this video we just watched?
Is this a quiz? I
It's a
didn't
quiz.
know there would be.
And I
Then I
am
did pay it
checking
close.
if
Can
it's
we
the
watch
right
the
answer.
clip? Can we watch the clip again?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what he, unfuckable in terms of what he said. He said a number of things though. At the beginning, he was talking about embracing other people's viewpoints and that there's truth inside everyone's viewpoint. And I guess that's, at least I can only speak for myself, and being able to accept that other people can have their perspective in what he's saying is that even if you don't disagree, even if you can disagree with someone, you can't force anyone. The respect of free will, of freedom of speech, is so fundamental, and you know, and I guess that would be my touching point on that.
I have to admit that on my spiritual journey, I've kind of been thinking a lot that I'm right, because finally I've understood it, the spiritual truth about life.
Mm-hmm.
So everyone that doesn't get it, they're just a bit slow.
That's the Messiah complex.
Yeah. So I got to the right answer. It's only going to be time until everyone else realizes the same answer. And that's it's kind of interesting to be in that trap, because
I've been there.
Yeah, me too. And I go there sometimes, even now. Like now, I'm aware of the trap, but I still go there sometimes.
The worst place for me is people in my old life. Mostly like my family. When I actually, after I had my spiritual awakening, you know, the whole third eye and all that sort of stuff, you know, breaking down higher dimensions, all that jazz. I rushed back to England. I actually quit my job here in Norway and I bought a bike and cycled back to England. It's like a pilgrimage of some sort. And I got back and I told my family, and they all thought I was crazy. And that was actually what swung me into a kind of depressed stage, where I was saddened by the fact that I was so alone in this. You know, that I had no one else to talk to about these things. You know, everyone was like, "Well, he's crazy, man." Like, and that was. I had to go back in and rethink why I had these awakenings. Why me? I was like, why have you chose me, God? You know, like, why do I know these things and none of the people I grew up with know these things? You know, and
it can be a lonely place to go through that. I think going through these layers of depression, sometimes you just need that, in the sense of the loneliness and the. I think that there's Matt Kahn is saying. Do you know Matt Kahn?
No.
He's a spiritual YouTube
guy. Guru.
I like a spiritual YouTube guy. I think if you Google that, there's like 50 million.
Yeah. He has a lot of like gatherings, but everything is filmed and put on YouTube.
Okay.
And he has a lot of wisdom.
All is well.
All is well, and love whatever arises and things like that. So anyway. He says that okay, if unjudged or if not judged, depression is a stage of awakening. I think that's the quote, and it makes a lot of sense to me in many of my processes to go through this, to realize, okay, when I feel depressed or feel lonely, feel like an outsider, it's not because I'm necessarily an outsider or necessarily lost. It's just this place where I've been holding on to a lot of things that doesn't work anymore. And also including what you're saying now, like this kind of thing when we go into this spiritual know better, it creates a lonely space for us because we feel like an outsider. Yeah, I don't remember my point actually, but
I don't think it's necessary. It's like because I did do it. I tried to force people to understand things that I knew, and I learned from that was me being outside of myself. You know, the way is to really lead by example and to just be a better version of who you are, and then let them see that.
Yeah,
let them see the transformation.
Lead by example. I like that.
Because actually, in my studies, in my thesis, at university, I did an investigation of the role of individual identity upon pro-environmental behaviors.
One more time.
Okay. An investigation of the role of individual identity upon pro-environmental behaviors. Okay. So how we define ourselves, how that affects our behaviors. So, because the premise was that the leaders of the world were capitalists and they saw the world in just resources and numbers, and that I was leaning towards the indigenous perspective. The world, if we see the world as personified, that we have a mother and mother earth and all these sorts of things. And so my premise was that I looked at economists and mathematicians and then environmentalists to see if there was differences in their pro-environmental behaviors, assuming that they saw the world in different ways. And what came out was that there really wasn't much of a difference, unfortunately. And that and that showed that there's a thing called the knowledge action gap or the value action gap, which is that regardless of the knowledge that someone possesses, it doesn't always transmit into behavior.
Yeah.
And so I try to focus on trying to practice what I preach rather than just preaching to everyone all the time now. Yeah, it's like
but good. Like back to we watched this video clip of this Unfuckupable guy from is the Danish guy.
It's a Danish guy. Yes.
Wonderful guy. I just want to have him like stick around in the back all the time and like just whisper in my ear like it's all good. Well, everyone's a mirror, right? So if you're trying to convince a mirror, who are you trying to convince?
That's a good point. Yes. But it's something I realized when you talked is this. I always think for every layer I've kind of realized in myself, I believe I become a better version of me. And for instance, leading by example is something that is kind of that's also kind of the Messiah thing in a like okay, so the not very well version of the Messiah thing is that you think you know better, and the better version of the Messiah thing is that you lead by example, right?
Don't litter.
Yeah. What?
Don't litter.
Don't litter?
Yeah.
What does it mean?
Throwing rubbish on the floor.
Yeah.
Like for example.
Yeah, for example, yes. So for every layer I figure out in myself, I also quite often see that, okay, I believed what I did there was to lead by example. But what I actually did was to throw a lot of things in pretending to be a leader. Make sense? Yeah. That's I've realized that within me so many times that I still do that. Like I think I'm leading by example, but I'm actually just putting out facts for other people to supposedly pick up. And
I have to get this off my chest now because I just had like the most insane realization. You know, I am a parent. I have 3 children.
It's beautiful.
Do I lead by example, or am I just pushing these ideas into their minds, which I am not living up to? Like your very textbook example was like, stop sitting on the phone all the time. Stop sitting on the phone all the time.
Yeah, exactly.
So annoying. It's because I want, I want them to
you know what my mom always
be their best, or I want them to like be better than me almost, right? But it's attacking it from the completely wrong angle.
Yeah. My mom always says this: don't do as we do, do as we say.
Yeah.
And it's kind of funny.
I've come to peace, that there's like a shift or a splitting, separation going on the planet. I've come to peace with that there's people who will believe different things. That doesn't stop me from having a moral hierarchy within myself, and me knowing what's up and down and what's the do's and don'ts and what's rights and wrongs for me. And that I can try and seek to improve that and learn it as I grow and become better and all these sorts of things. And it was a big thing for me to come to peace with. And it's a surrendering. It's a surrendering because you want everyone to.
That's word.
Yeah, it is. It's a
surrender is the word. It's Rabbe's favorite word. What do you think about surrender, Rabbe?
I think we need to surrender to the schedule. So
are we up?
Smooth.
Time.
Yes.
Time.
So we actually are on schedule right now, but we need to conclude because in 1 minute and 30 seconds, Ulf is going to have his weekly quotes.
Oh, okay. So we need to conclude.
Yeah. Well, how do we conclude?
Well, from a scale from 0 to 100, how unfuckupable is this experience called life, William?
100%. Unfuckupable.
Were you, Mr.
I think I would also say 100%. And I think this show today has also proven it, that it is possible to just let it be what it is and invite someone we didn't know, but we know, which is part of everything. So I think it's quite 100%, yes.
What Rabbe said.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm gonna just raise it. I like it's like 1,000,000% because it's truer than true. It's a deeply hidden fact within ourselves. But I do recommend everyone check this out because it's it makes going to the grocery store so much more fun.
Yeah.
Because when things go, when the line is all backed up and things are horrible, you can just sort of like, oh, wait a minute.
Yes.
There's only lessons, no mistakes.
Yeah. Everyone's cheering you on.
Yeah. So I think my conclusion is actually the exact same thing as last week, which is that it is always a choice. You have to actually choose that, okay, I choose the unfuckupable life. And then that's what I'm going to see. That's what I'm going to experience. But if I'm denying it, I'm not going to find it or experience the unfuck. Because it sounds a lot more fun to have an unfuckupable life, I would say. So now it's over to you, Ulf.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
And now as you all our faithful viewers know, once a week I search the internet far and wide, or even maybe ask old sages or wise people about some fragments of wisdom that I can share at the deep end of this thing called the Wake Up Show, and then I print it out on a piece of paper, and I share it with you guys. And I think this time around I really hit the thing on the pin on the, what's it called again?
Hit the nail.
Nail. The hammer on the nail.
Yeah.
Yes. So I'm gonna see. If you want to make the world a better place, take a look at yourself and make a change. It's actually Michael Jackson.
MJ said that.
MJ, yeah, and I checked he wrote the song, so it's
He didn't steal it.
Oh, did he steal it?
I don't know.
Does it matter?
No.
Does it make it less?
He took it from another part of himself.
I think he took it from the man in the mirror.
Powerful quote, though. Nevertheless,
that's a powerful.
I've never heard that before. I like it.
You like it?
Yes.
Yeah. So, are we good?
We are good. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure. It's been enjoyable.
I love that we can do something like this. Just invite someone who say, "Hey," and then remind people about the Patreon.
Oh,
perhaps.
yes.
Yes.
Ooh, hello. this is Ulf from Patreon. This is a you'd go into this website, patreon.com/The Wake Up Show, and you can check out our different tiers, and you can support the show with a monthly amount. And
you can get a coffee mug with the Wake Up Show logo on it.
I'm holding up the mug now because I forgot it.
We are waiting for it from the print, right? Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Yes.
But yes, so your support really makes a difference, and we're gonna do this, and obviously we're gonna have Jim Carrey as a guest, and you want to see that happening.
He was a guest today, actually, a little bit, in a way, in the video.
Yeah, you had him in the video. I like that.
Yes. All right.
Thank you so much, William.
Thank you.
You're welcome. It's been a pleasure.
It's been so great. Let's wrap this up. Do like this, and I push like that.
I see trees of green, red roses too. I see them bloom for me and you, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. See skies of blue and clouds of white, the bright blessed day, the dark sacred night, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky, are also on the faces of people going by. I see friends shaking hands, say, how do you do? They're really saying, I love you. I hear babies cry, I watch them grow, they'll learn much more than I'll ever know, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Yeah, I think to myself,